Welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming to my presentation. Today, I want to talk to you about the new world, the evolution of cloud native. Where are we today? How did we get there? Why are we there? What's in the future? And to me, this is about the cloud continuum, which means that everybody is now multi-cloud. There is that one client that I see at Accenture who has one cloud today. Everybody's multi-cloud. They either have 2, 3, 4, 6, or 8 clouds, right? And hybrid and on-prem is part of the story as well. How do we evolve this into a future state? About me, my name is Forman. I've been with Accenture about 12 years now. I started commercial, working for large clients, Target, Walmart, and so on. Moved over to federal back in March, so now I'm working for the big government clients. Been doing this stuff for a while, got the gray hair to prove it. So my new thing now is I'm leading cloud native for Accenture as well for our services, which includes Cloud Continuum. Also, in my spare time, I do a lot of work with the CNCF. I developed the Kubernetes 30 exam. I dare you guys to take it. Tell me if it's hard or not. It's a difficult test. Also, I also worked with a group of people to create the cloud native maturity model. But kind of Rofus, and we wrote a book about it as well with 50 of friends. Check out the book. It's online and available online. Well, also, I'm a regular speaker at KubeCon. Go to be at KubeCon this year, Oklahoma City. Definitely look me up. The agenda. I have a lot to cover, so I'm not going to bring the slides here today. First, I want to talk about is the state of Kubernetes. So, Dilbert, I love Dilbert. I'm a geek. So, back in 2019, I really saw Kubernetes really take traction. So, Kubernetes started back in 2015. And previous to that, it was called Borg. Right, Kubernetes uses Star Trek themes, right? So before Kubernetes, it was called Borg, but I worked on it as well at that time. But then it was released in 2015. We just graduated 10 years old with Kubernetes. Happy birthday, Kubernetes. But it's amazing, it's 10 years old, but clients are still not using it the right way, or they're still learning it, they're still using it today. It's a process that they're doing. My phone called off. 2015, again, it was released to the public, and it's been accelerating ever since. There's still a lot of maturity we still need to work out, though. Clients are still getting mature, they're still on the journey. You know, this is a crawl, walk, run marathon. And I always relate this to an elephant, right? We eat elephants. Right, we have to eat an elephant one bite at a time. If you eat the elephant at once, you go choke, you will die. I promise you will die. So you have to take it, to a maturity path. You can't just use Kubernetes and expect it to work 100% correctly. You can't expect it to be, scalable unless you do it the right way. And that's a learning curve. It's culture, technology. It's a lot of things that create that for everybody to be able to do this the right way. So, like everything, things evolve. Kubernetes is evolving. When Kubernetes first came out, it was really about stateless workload. And the microservices came into play. And then everybody said, John, do I use containers? Do I use microservices? What do I do? And my answer was, well, use both. It depends on the workload, right? If the workload is best suited for microservice, use microservice. If it's best used for a container, when I'm using ERP systems and applications, definitely use a container, right? But if I want to do a single action, look for an address, use a microservice. It depends on the use case. That's how it works. But then things evolved where Kubernetes is now become stateful. So last year, I wrote a white paper with Google. Check out the link and read it with your spare time. And we created the concept of DOK, data on Kubernetes. The Kubernetes is now evolving from stateless to a stateful mind. So I can run data now on Kubernetes at scale. So when it comes to AI and machine learning, this is really cool. Because now I can take this scalable approach to AI as well as Kubernetes evolved to become more stateful. So in the future state, microservices will still be there, microservices, but Kubernetes is going to be my stateful way to do things. So VMs will die. I promise you, they're dying right now. They die more every day. Qualcomm got die even faster. So we'll be evolving more to Kubernetes. So we can take those VM workloads that are unstateful and run the Kubernetes at scale. And it works, and it's a beautiful thing. So again, the history of Kubernetes, it was stateless, now stateful. Google has proved it with charts and graphs and everything else. with PyTorch, MongoDB, and other things. But right now, Kubernetes really take it to the next level. Again, data Kubernetes is there. Now, the problem with this is the workforce. We have people who know databases, Oracle and SQL, and we have people who know Kubernetes. But if I want to scale Kubernetes, I need a team that knows both. So we got to be able to take these database administrators, teach them Kubernetes. We got to take these Kubernetes guys and teach them databases to kind of merge those patterns together to create a new workforce. But this is happening. It's happening more every day. I see it with the clients every day. Data is shifting to Kubernetes at scale. But we need to be able to handle this. So we need the knowledge, and we need to work together to build this up. Data Kubernetes is a CCF project. Okay, definitely check it out to learn more about it, how this works. I mentioned before data and AI, so I cannot tell you right now that I can't stand up here and give you a presentation and be smart unless I say AI. Okay? AI is everywhere now, right? It's coming, right? So, but my problem is this: is that I work with clients and they want to use AI today. They want to scale with AI, but the architecture can't support. The architecture can't scale it, but yet they still want to do it, which is wonderful. And I got to tell them, crawl, walk, run. I did that before. You can't just run the AI and scale. You have to have the infrastructure first to do it in place in order to be able to achieve those goals. You guys saw the Kubernetes architecture the basis on. The Kubernetes can scale to 15,000 nodes per cluster. That's a lot. Think about that, 15,000 nodes per cluster. So this is my supercomputer, my HPC, everything can scale up nicely right from the ground up. Kubernetes is the foundation of this. And future state, again, VMs are dying. Kubernetes is the future. I promise you, we will go together. Kicking and screaming. So this takes you to the next conversation. Continuum. What is it? So I mentioned before that we are moving to a multi-cloud world. Nobody has one cloud anymore. So how do we now take this multi-cloud mess? It's a mess out there because we're failing on multi-cloud. My clients are failing because they can't manage multi-cloud. It's a pain in the ass, right? So we need a single pane of glass. We need single fleet management. We need event-driven architecture. We need all these things to scale up this multi-cloud thing. And I'm calling it the cloud continuum. And in the middle of this is the brain or control plane. Everybody knows what control plane is. There's different concepts of that as well that you can look up. But at the end of the day, it's the brain of what it is. And in my terminology of this, again, there's different terminologies you can look at for what this means. But in my wiki tells me that a cloud control plane is one flavor of Kubernetes everywhere. I can run it on-prem, I can run it on OpenStack, I can run it on Amazon, I can run it on Google, or on Rancher, platform, I can run it anywhere. That means it's the same flavor of Kubernetes. When I do my fleet management, it's one single pane of glass. So Kubernetes is running anywhere. Now, many people want to push services, EKS, AKS, and that's wonderful, but they can't run everywhere. Rancher can, OpenShift can, Google can. The Google Anthos that's called Tricky Enterprise. So, and then there's also Kata container as well. We all love Kata container. So the concept of the same container running everywhere is a concept you have to embrace in multi-cloud. Otherwise, you're going to cry, scream, pull your hair out, and you can't get mature. Because how am I going to manage 10 different distributions of Kubernetes in a multi-cloud world? It's not feasible. It doesn't work. It doesn't scale. We have to scale, especially when we do AI at these levels. You're going to fail on your face. I promise you. I see it every day. So we got to move to cloud continuum with a cloud control plane everywhere. That's this concept. Okay? And the problem is this over here, is that the problem is this, is that clients today are multi-cloud and they keep taking on more stuff. And by doing this, what happens, you create technical debt. We all love technical debt, don't we? Who doesn't love technical debt? I do. We don't love it. But yet, every day we create more. Why? Because we're doing it wrong. Why? Because we're running, but we're not walking. Okay? So, think of this diagram. When it's say cloud continuum, I want to be able to take stability of the cloud and agility of the cloud and kind of merge those together in a nice big ball for the cloud continuum. So on my left-hand side, I got my FinOps, ops, my security ops, my SecOps, all my governance, my enforcement, my control, my policies as code, all that fun stuff. On the right-hand side is my DevOps, my GitOps, my BizOps. I need a balance of these two things together to come together, and that is the cloud continuum running where? In a multi-cloud world. And what this does, it simplifies my environment. It keeps me modernized, automation, self-service, stable agility, modular, extensible, and persona-driven. Persona is a new term over the last several years, but persona is a lot when it comes to multi-cloud. You need all these elements to create this thing. And what we're going to do together, we're going to reinvent operations by doing this. We're going to C3P. So this is a concept, again, I developed 3 seasons of pay. I'm a Star Trek guy, Star Wars rather. I wanted to C3PO, but I couldn't think of an O at the end. I did it right. But the Cloud Native Continuum Control Plane, C3P, the concept that brings us all together. Right, it's going to be the single, unified, consistent, real-time view of my operations. It's going to integrate, orchestrate my entire unlock my control plane. And again, it's about the people, process, technology. It's not just about the tech, but it's about the culture and the people. It's actually sometimes more important than the tech. This is a pattern you can look at as a master tech op. I love to build patterns. I love to build architectures. When it comes to a capability diagram, on the bottom, I got my on-prem, OpenStack, my cloud providers, my Google, Amazon, Azure. I need a DRPC plan for everything that I'm doing from the ground up. On day one, just like we talk about DevSecOps, shift security left, well, shift DR left also. We need a DR plan early on as we develop these things out. And of course, I need my full IAM part of that strategy. That's lays my control plane. Whether that's going to be OpenShift, Rancher, pick it, right? But it has to be one distribution that can run everywhere. I got my copy on top of that sitting in my domains. Now around this, right, it's going to be my service mesh, maybe VSDO, and then FinOps on day one. That can be part of my process. The event-driven architecture, Kafka, legacy will be here for a while. Mainframe will be around for a long time. Data lakes will be around for a long time. I got to plug it into my modern architecture. The event-driven architecture is critical for that. I can support my legacy still as I move forward to the future state. DevOps, I don't care if it's GitLab, Jenkins, GitHub, just do it right. Okay? Durability, independent glass, Prometheus, Grafana, OpenTelemetry, all those things, we put it together, build this as we work on these things. And then in the government space, we wanted a lot of ATL, that security. Security is wrapped around this big bubble as well as part of this. But my friend coming in, I got my my friend applications coming into the gateway, Microsoft Apogee, pick your flavor of that. But this architecture can scale. This is what we need to really take the multi-cloud world and control it. This is what you need to do. So to get there, we have to understand cloud native architecture principles. So I have a little time today, so we're going to go through this stuff fairly quickly. I got to be able to design and automate. Principle number one. Number two, I got to make it stateless. Design for that. Number three, I got to favor managed services. I'm in the cloud. Use the services. While they're there, don't do them yourselves. If there's a service, use it. Right? Really favor that. Practice defense and text. And for the military, it works. But guess what? It works for the cloud as well. And get hacked and all those ransomware. I can talk about all day long how to prevent that. And if you start with the defense and depth, you can prevent those things. And lastly, this is a living, breathing thing. It's not static. You are always architecting, always evolving, always changing. Whenever you create a multi-cloud environment, it's not static, live. It's part of it's an organism. So always be updating it, always be architecting it, because it's future-proof, right? This is future-proof. Okay, which means it's living, it's not static. A big thing also with being a technical architect, I love patterns. There's 5 main patterns to the stuff. One is microservices, containers, orchestration is code, plus DevSecOps. All these elements are required for this to scale. And then, when it comes to how do I enable cloud native? How do I enable that journey? I create these 4 pillars in mind when I do this. But when I speak to people about this, I start with the basics. I start with the 4 pillars of what cloud native is. And that is Kubernetes, service mesh, serverless containers, and cloud platform. All the elements create cloud native. So DevSecOps, best practices, my other favorite topic, DevOps. I love DevOps. And so we started this whole thing of let's go from waterfall to DevOps. But where do we live? We live in the middle. And everybody says, and I asked them, do you do DevOps? Yes, we do. And I look at the process, and guess what? They're not doing DevOps. They're doing pseudo DevOps. They think they're doing it, but they're not doing DevOps at all. That means you got to be able to drive to left to right, shift DevSecOps all the way. You'll be able to really get there time and start the legacy waterfall methods that we're still doing today. And this is culture, folks. Culture is blocking this to happen. Culture is keeping us in the middle. Culture is disallowing us to move from top to bottom. So when I think about DevOps, I think about future state of things, what you need for a few DevOps. Unless I'm doing these things, I'm not doing DevOps. I have to have the automation, security testing and scanning. I got golden image updates, which people look at me with 5 heads. What is that? Well, you need those things. Look it up. You need, after embracing your pipelines, everything is code is a term I think I made it up, although people talk about it, it's totally fine. But when I say everything is code, I mean everything is code. Not just infrastructure, not just my applications, but my policies, my security, my dashboards. Everything should be code-based, nothing manual. I don't stop today. And I have a standard process, of course, based on process security. My bottom layer here, again, is culture, training, education is the key. So again, the stages of DevOps, you should know this already if you're doing DevOps. But to me, the key things will be over here to make sure you're hitting all these points. If you're not hitting all these points, you're not doing DevOps. You're not. You think you are, but you're not. You have to have all this as part of your process. Yeah. Well, next is culture and personas. The biggest thing to me, it's not about tech, it's about the culture. So I kind of created this 9-pillar approach when it comes to cloud native. And to me, the design pillars that create cloud native, like the multi-cloud environment, my networking, data AI, my container management, log monitoring, FinOps, IAM, DevOps, and security, that creates cloud native. The governance is what I need in the middle in order to embrace those things. And guess what? That did not work. All right, it's supposed to say education and culture. But all of this we have to embrace when it comes to future state. So in a culture, what does it mean to be multi-cloud? What do they need to have in my environment for this to happen? We need to have shared vision, goals, incentives. We need transparency, we need trust. We need a safe environment, reflection, data-driven, improvement, experimentation, all these things take a risk. And we need a culture we can take a risk and not be afraid to take a risk. We have to be able to do these things. And then I got to shift my behaviors from left to right. I got to go from IT focus, customer focus, silos, cross-functional teams, low trust to high trust. The biggest thing I'm seeing right now is a big issue when it comes to silos. Many environments are very siloed. You got to break those walls down in order to make this reality. So I mentioned before, for Office, I created the cloud training model for Cloud Native. Well, this is kind of what I created. This is a nice representation of that of a scale of 1 to 5, where we have a scale of where you are on your walk or run journey to Cloud Native. Starts from ad hoc up to leading. And I talk to clients all the time, and they tell me we're mature in Cloud Native, John. We do it every day. Then I rate them, and they're over here. They're not part of that. The average customer today is over here. The average environment is at 1.2. Public should be about 3.4 to really be scaling Cloud Native. But the journey is still early. Even though Kubernetes is 10 years old, we are still early in the journey. I have a breakdown for what those mean. You can read this in spare time. I know everybody's going to love this. When I'm done, they're going to read it, right? Hopefully. But definitely read this when you have a chance to understand what the skill it means, what one means to get there. So when it comes to my thinking about hot skills in the market, okay, what I think those are. I have green and red. Green, I expect you to know these things. When I interview people to work at Accenture, I expect you to know these things. Okay? If you don't have a nice day. The red is, the leading things. The red ones you should start learning today, embracing, understanding those. Those are critical skills as you move to the future state of Cloud Continuum. Get certified. Obviously, it's important one as well in the learning path things. Last thing I want to talk about is pods. So we are so used to the old way of things, we got to shift to the new way of things. So we have teams today in DevOps and operations, and we firefighters, man. All right, how do we get out of firefighting mode? And so again, I work with very big clients, and they're in firefighting mode. They can't see the forest of the trees. They're busy firefighting. They can't be innovative, right? Because they're firefighting. So you need to bring in SRE. We've got to bring in this principle so they can start to be more innovative, less firefighting. The way that I think we can do this is through pods. T-shaped skill set. So these people are not just brains when it comes to Kubernetes, but they also have emotional skills and creative skills as well to really embrace what it means to share peer knowledge across the environment.
Speaking of firefighting, your time is up.
Well, when it comes to the pods, right? I was mentioning this before. Is that we want to go from firefighting mode to innovation mode. So when we build teams up, we should kind of look at this approach. And have a mix of engineering skills, infrastructure, networking skills, engineering skills, and dev skills. And this percentage of the composition of the team should have the skills that they have. I'm proving this method out now for a little while now, and it seems to be working pretty well. So you want to scale up your pods from 1 to as many as you need. Your environment, depending how big your environment is. But as you build up teams now, so think about the concept of a pod, shaped skill sets. And again, that innovation and emotional skills are just as important as the hard skills as well to create that concept. Pretty much what I had on the slide, so history. Questions?